Hi, I'm Louisa Stewart of Blue Ninja Business Support, and today I'm very fortunate to welcome Kelly Culver, CEO of the Culver Group and founder and chair of the iImpact UImpact Innovation Foundation. Welcome, Kelly. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
Oh, pleasure.
I really appreciate this.
So why did you create a foundation? What were the motivations behind setting up your amazing foundation?
I have a consultancy company that's based in Canada, and I've been working in the international development space for about 25 years. And as I was repositioning the business model of my company in Canada, I realized that there were some amazing experiences and exposures that I had had to a lot of innovative work in continents like Africa or in the Caribbean. And that there was an opportunity to take some of those innovations and adapt them and project them out more globally. And I thought one of the best ways to do this would be through an innovation foundation that has an innovation platform that provides the safe space for people to test things, to experiment, to fail smartly as a social enterprise. And when I was casting my eyes around the world on where should this live, I found that the Netherlands, interestingly enough, has the most regulatory enabling environment for a social enterprise innovation foundation. And so that's why it's based in the Netherlands and not in Canada.
That's really interesting. I mean, I think people are drawn to the Netherlands because of the way that they embrace innovation. Failure as part of succeeding is quite commonplace now, whereas I think other countries are still a little bit scared to talk about failure. So it's wonderful to have your foundation established in the Netherlands, and I think it's really going to boost that creative side of business, which I think is really growing through the innovation hubs and the tech corridors that are developing here.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So what challenges have you faced setting up the foundation over the past 2 years, with the obvious one, of course?
Well, my timing was absolutely terrible. So I've been, perseverance and resilience. I established the foundation in May of 2020, right in the middle of COVID, when everybody was in lockdown, couldn't travel. And I was fortunate enough to be working with some organizations in the Netherlands that could help me in a virtual way establish the corporate structure, file all of the necessary documents, create the entity itself. And it's been living virtually ever since. In fact, I only was able to get to the Netherlands this past October when I was able to meet with you and Julie.
That's right.
On a leap of faith, I chose the Netherlands. There was logic in choosing the Netherlands. On a leap of faith, I chose the Rotterdam, the Hague area. And persevered in establishing it. But it has been really, really hard to have any kind of launch that has any traction. One of the things for me that's been really helpful, though, particularly with the Netherlands, is how quickly organizations have shifted their business to an online model. So I was able to attend things like the Venture Cafe in Rotterdam that connected me with different organizations. I've been able to work with Blue Ninja in a virtual way, with lawyers, with incorporation companies. They've all adopted their service delivery model to an online way. And so that's made it easier for me. But I think nonetheless, it's really challenging to start something if you still aren't physically present, because it's almost like people have to see you, test you. In Canada, we would say kick your tires to see if they want to do business with you. Yeah. And so that element, that human to human connection element, we cannot lose sight of and forget, even with COVID.
And I mean, yeah, things like the Venture Cafe have been amazing. I mean, we've been networking in the UK in opportunities that wouldn't have been there otherwise, because they've always been run face-to-face previously, a lot of these networking meetings. And it's lovely when organizations keep them moving forward virtually, or they're trying to do virtual and in person. So they're trying to find a way forward to include as many people as possible. So that's a great point that you've raised, Kelly, about businesses trying to embrace this new world of virtual working, but of course not losing sight that, you know, that face-to-face contact is so valuable too. So where in the world is your favorite place?
Oh, there's no answer to that. There's absolutely no answer to that. I have been privileged to work in so many different countries that are really near and dear to my heart, but also are wonderful showcases of opportunity and development and just interesting ways of doing business. I started my overseas career in the Caribbean. In Canada, the Caribbean is very close, and I worked in 6 or 7 different countries there. Barbados is where my heart is. Wow. in the Caribbean. And I've worked in Kenya and Tanzania and South Africa on the continent. And I had the pleasure of living for 4 years on the island of Mauritius, which is a little island in the Indian Ocean, halfway between Africa and Australia. And that was really, you know, Mark Twain said that God created Mauritius and then decided to adapt heaven after it. And there's a lot of truth in that statement. So I refer to myself as a global citizen, and I don't mean that arrogantly. I just mean my center of gravity lives in a lot of different places around the world. And I know I'm really fortunate to have had that experience.
And I think if you're working in things like the Sustainable Development Goals, having that global knowledge is really helpful to have impacts. So we talked about the foundation a little bit. Can you tell me what's the problem the foundation's trying to address, and how will the foundation have an impact?
Well, we like to talk about problems actually as wicked problems. And the reason that we use the word wicked problems is that if there's a problem where a solution requires a great number of people to change their mindsets and behaviors, it's more than likely a wicked problem. And if it involves complexities and challenges that span sectors and industries, organizations, and the social space, it's probably a wicked, messy issue. We like wicked problems because they can be the spark for positive, inclusive disruption, and they allow us to learn from lessons of things that are going on right now. But the big thing I think that I'm seeing and that Foundation is trying to tackle is that in the new global landscape, we see that value is shifting away from profit and towards purpose and sustainability. And we really believe that purpose is the new currency. So in that context, it's really urgent to rethink the possibilities for the future, to reimagine our global economy and make more sustainable, resilient impacts to a better world.
Oh, that's incredible. Are there any examples that you could provide of maybe governments or countries that have been able to sort of shift their way of thinking from sort of a consumerism point into a people-driven, you know, direction?
We're seeing a lot of this now after, well, particularly in COVID. We're seeing it with climate change, you know, things like the COP26 conference. But if we take it even down to more, you know, at the level of the individual, all kinds of businesses, organizations, schools are starting to realize that we need to take a sustainable development lens across everything that we do. It's not just, I don't mean sustainable development goals. I mean, how do we sustain what we're doing? How do we sustain the impact that we want to achieve? And how do we balance that with, there's no problem being in business. You can do business and do good at the same time. It isn't either or anymore. It's both and everything. And if we take that sustainable management lens across the work that we do, I think we can get more traction, we can see more success, and we can have more sustained impact. And there are wonderful examples here in Europe. I'm in Paris right now, here in Europe, Canada, in Africa, where we're really starting to say, okay, not our shareholders, but our clients right now are demanding organizations and companies to look at purpose in a different way. We have multi-generations who have buying power, and they're shifting what it is that's important to them. And if companies don't change, then they won't be successful and they won't survive.
Some great points there, Kelly. And so how can people support the iImpact UImpact Foundation and get in touch with you?
People can support us. We're a social enterprise, so we don't go and ask for donations. We design programs, we deliver programs, and we deliver services. So if people are interested in knowing more about the foundation, we have a website, www.iuimpact.com. So there's our contact details there, and you can look at whether there are ways for us to explore coming in and working with your organization on some of the innovative programming that we have. And that's how we build our business model. That's how our business model is different. It's circular, so that we look at delivering services and we invest any profits that we make into new programming.
That's fantastic. That's so good to hear. I think it's great to see a foundation that is really challenging potentially the status quo and for a better world.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Kelly, for coming and having a chat with me.
Thank you very much, Louisa. All the best.
Thanks.